Hello all, myself Vedangi and I'm a legal intern at Lexis and Company, and my today's topic for the discussion is the case analysis of Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India. So the judgment of this case was delivered by a 7-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court on 25th of January 1978, and this decision marked the development of a new era with respect to the interpretation of fundamental rights guaranteed in our constitution. Also, the decision in this case altered the face of the Indian constitution and marked a new era of development in the concept of personal liberty. Talking about the facts of this case, so in this case, the petitioner Menaka Gandhi was a journalist whose passport was issued on 1st of June 1976 under the Passport Act 1967, and later on 2nd of July 1977, the regional passport officer in New Delhi had ordered the petitioner to surrender her passport by a letter posted. And on being asked about the reasons for her passport confiscation, so the Ministry of External Affairs declined to produce any reasons in the interest of the general public. Therefore, the petitioner had filed a writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution, stating the seizure of her passport as a violation of the fundamental rights, Article 14, Article 19 and Article 21 of the Constitution. And the respondent counterfeited, stating that the petitioner was required to be present in the connection with the proceedings which was going on before a commission of inquiry. Talking about the issues that were raised in this case before the court, so first issue was whether the fundamental rights are absolute or conditional, and what is the extent of the territory of such fundamental rights provided to the citizens by the Constitution of India. Second issue was whether right to travel abroad is protected under Article 21 or not. Third issue was what is the connection between the rights guaranteed under Article 14, 19 and 21 of the Constitution. And next issue was determining the scope of the procedure established by the law and whether the provision laid down in Section 10 subsection 3 clause C of the Passport Act 1967 is violative of fundamental rights, and if it is so, then whether such legislation is a concrete law and whether the order of the regional passport officer is in contravention of the principles of natural justice. So there were certain contentions, certain arguments that were raised by the petitioner. So first of all, the petitioner argued that the right to travel abroad is a derivative of the right provided under personal liberty, and no citizen can be deprived of the right except according to the procedure prescribed by the law. Also further, the central government acted in violation of the Article 21 of the Constitution by not giving any opportunity to the petitioner to be heard, and hence the true interpretation of Article 21 as well as its nature and protection are required to be laid down. Also, any procedure established by law is required to be free of any arbitrariness and must comply with the principles of natural justice, and to upkeep the intention of the Constituent Assembly and to give effect to the spirit of our Constitution. Fundamental rights should be read in consonance with each other, and in the case, Articles 14, 19 and 21 must be read together. Also, fundamental rights are entitled to every citizen by virtue of being a human and guaranteed against being exploited by the state, and hence these fundamental rights should be wide ranged. And to have a well ordered and civilized society, the freedom guaranteed to the citizens must be in regulated form, and therefore reasonable restrictions were provided by the Constituent Assembly from clauses 2 to clause 6 of the Article 19 of the Constitution of India. Article 22 confers protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. So in Kharak Singh versus State of UP case, it was held that the term personal liberty is used in the Constitution as a compendium including all the varieties of rights in relation to the personal liberty, whether or not it is included in several clauses of Article 19 clause 1. Also, an essential constituent of natural justice is alterum partem, that is, given a chance to be heard, that was not granted to the petitioner in this case. And Passport Act 1967 violates the right to life and liberty and hence is ultra vires. So the petitioner was restrained from travelling abroad by virtue of provision in Section 10 subsection 3 clause C of the Passports Act 1967. Now talking about the respondent's contention, so the Attorney General of India argued that the right to travel abroad was never covered under any article, any clauses of Article 19 clause 1, and hence Article 19 is independent of proving the reasonableness of the actions taken by the central government. Also, the passport law was not made to blow away the fundamental rights in any manner, and also government should not be compelled to state its ground for seizing or impounding someone's passport for the public good and national safety. Further, the petitioner was required to appear before a committee for an inquiry, and hence her passport was impounded. And further, the principles of natural justice were termed to be vague and ambiguous, and therefore the constitution should not refer to such vague and ambiguous provisions as a part of the constitution. Also, article 21 is very wide, and it also includes in itself the provisions of article 14 and article 19. However, any law can only be termed unconstitutional to article 21 when it directly infringes article 14 and 19. Hence, passport law is not unconstitutional. And also, article 21 in its language contains the procedure established by law, and such procedure need not to pass the test of reasonability, and the constitutional makers, while drafting this constitution, had debated on American due process of law and British procedure established by law. So, the conspicuous absence of the due process of law from the constitutional provisions reflects the mind of the framers of the constitution, and the mind and the spirit of the framers must be protected as well. So basically, what was held in this case? So before the enactment of the Passport Act 1967, there was no such law regulating the passport whenever any person wanted to leave his native place and to settle abroad. And further, the clause C of the section 10 subsection 3 of the Passport Act 1967 provides that when the state finds it necessary to seize the passport or do any such actions in the interest of the sovereignty and the integrity of the nation, so it is basically its security, its friendly relations with the foreign countries, or for the interest of the general public, the authority is required to record in writing the reason of such an act, and need to also furnish a copy of that record to the holder of the passport. Also, the central government never disclosed any reasons for impounding the petitioner's passport. Rather, she was told that the act was done in the interest of the general public, whereas it was found out that her presence was felt required by the respondents for the proceedings before a commission of inquiry. And the fundamental rights conferred in the part 3 of the constitution are not directive nor mutually exclusive, and any law depriving a person of his personal liberty has to stand a test of one or more of the fundamental rights conferred under Article 19. And the phrase used in Article 21 is procedure established by law instead of due process of law, and therefore there is a clear infringement of the basic ingredients of the principle of natural justice, that is audi alteram partem, because the petitioner was not given the chance of being heard in this case. And also section 10 subsection 3 clause C of the Passport Act 1967 was not violative of any fundamental rights, especially Article 14. So in the present case, the petitioner is not discriminated in any manner under Article 14 because the statute is protected. And also it is true that the fundamental rights are sought in case of violation of any right of individual, and when the state had violated it, but that does not mean that the right to speech, right to freedom of speech and expression is exercisable only in our country and not outside. It is possible that certain rights related to human values are protected by fundamental rights, even if it is not explicitly written in our constitution. And also the right to go abroad is not a part of the right to free speech and expression, as both have different nature and different characteristics. So A.K. Gopalan was overruled, stating that there is a unique relationship between the provisions of Article 14, 19 and 21, and therefore every law must pass the test of such provisions. So what we can conclude from this entire case is that after this case, the Supreme Court became the watchdog to protect the essence of the Constitution and to safeguard the intention of the Constituent Assembly who made it. And the majority of the judges opinioned that any legislation should be just, fair, reasonable, and in its absence, even the established or prevailed law can be considered arbitrary. Also, the judges mandated that any law which deprives a person of his personal liberty should stand the test of Article 19, Article 14 and Article 21 of the Constitution. And also the principles of natural justice are also included under Article 21, and therefore no person should be deprived of his voice to be heard inside the court. And further, to declare any state action or legislation invalid, the golden triangle rule, that is Article 14, Article 19 and 21 must be invoked. So guys, that's all about my discussion on this entire concept, entire case. I hope you all liked my video. If you guys have any doubt with regard to this video, then you can comment in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel Let's Click. We will meet in the next video. Till then, bye.